Hello, this is Randy, and welcome back to another episode of SoCal Fun in the Sun. We have just finished 2 days running down the coast of Mexico here, heading for Cabo San Lucas. When we got up this morning, we noticed that we were pulling into the harbor, and of course we immediately ran to the windjammer to get something to eat. Looking out the window, we could see little tourist boats taking people out to see the islands and go swimming and do various excursions. So it was getting kind of exciting. Someone in the windjammer here yelled out that they'd seen a whale or a dolphin or something out there. So everybody was peeking out the windows, but all we saw here were some tour boats shuffling people back and forth out to the little islands to scuba or whatever they were going to do. This is where our day started going bad. We heard an announcement over the PA system that we were supposed to go down to level 1 for boarding. And we thought it was us. We had our number. We were number 9 tender, so down we went. Began to notice quickly there were very few people there and couldn't understand why. Where was everybody? Then someone told us that we were in the wrong place. This was the boarding area for people who had purchased excursions and they were waiting to get on the boat. We had not purchased any excursions, so we were in the wrong spot. We did the smart thing and headed up to the promenade to have something to eat and to figure out where we were supposed to be.
So here's a tip for a crew. Talk slower when you're speaking to senior citizens. When they're giving directions, don't just point.
When we have that dumbfounded look on our face.
Yes, we were in the wrong spot the first time. Then they says, go up and go over, and we did, and we went next thing, and then we land, and still the wrong spot.
Something was wrong. We stepped out, and there was very few people, expecting like 100 people or something.
Well, there was nobody. Yeah, there was the four girls and their family was sitting there. We were in the excursion section that was paid excursion section.
That's right. It says we don't pay for those things, sort of things. We're at the back of the boat with a smaller room on a smaller boat.
Yes.
You have to kind of jump onto it as it takes off. Well, you have to swim it short.
Literally, we're in the back of the ship because they says go over to the promenade, which was here, go to the other end, and that's where we get on, go down floor 1, where we catch our boats to go out. We were simply confused. We did manage to make it down to the first floor, but we were on the wrong end of the ship.
Soon there was another announcement coming over on what we were supposed to do, where we were supposed to do it, and when. And again, the voice speaking to us was an Asian voice with a strong accent, and we were having a little trouble understanding where to go. But we did manage to just follow the crowd because they had called our number 9, so off we went. Following the crowd and holding up our ticket number 9, we soon were put in the right place and managed to get on the tender that was going to take us ashore. We had already had a few discussions about how they were going to get all of us ashore. There was something like 3,700 people on the ship. And we thought, how are they going to do that? Because it's already like 1 o'clock and we have to be back at 4:30. How can they move so many people so fast? But the tenders were pretty good size. I'm thinking you could probably get 100 people on them. So we noticed there was a very large carnival ship in the harbor also, and apparently they got there before we did. So we figured there's, it must be close to 7,000 or 8,000 people then that are descending upon Cabo today. The harbor area is pretty big, and as you can see here, the boardwalk and the long line of resorts and hotels and other places just to play in the sun is pretty big. Cabo is a very popular place. As we got closer, I zoomed in a little bit on the camera, and I could see there's a lot of people on the beaches. It was a very crowded day. We weren't too sure what we were going to do when we got there, but looks like it was going to be a lot of fun. As we pulled into the harbor, the tender was slowing down. We were getting close to docking. And then we could see some really beautiful privately owned ships. Obviously, a lot of international people with lots of money visited this area. There was a lot of people on our tender, and several of them had visited Cabo many times before. So we were getting some pretty good ideas on what to do, where to go, and what kind of excursions to take that weren't so expensive, that sort of thing. As soon as we got off the ship, you are immediately in the marketplace. I mean, there's people everywhere. Everybody's got to sign up for some kind of excursion or trip or something for sale. But jewelry stores caught Sam's eye, so we had to stop for a while and check them out. And indeed, they had an awful lot of beautiful jewelry. Locally made, fine stones, some great values for sure. But we did manage to get by the window glass without spending anything. So we kept a little money in our pocket because we were going to have to go buy an excursion of some kind here.
Like this.
Whenever you go to a foreign country, it's always nice to see some of the local culture, and you get a full-face value of it here as soon as you get off the ship. And no matter what country you're stepping off into, it's always nice to be greeted by a beautiful young lady.
Ancient secret.
Quite a few people on our Tinder were already meeting up with excursion groups. We were independent, going our own way, and we picked up some pretty good tips from the people on board the ship and on the Tinder about how to do things. We were mostly just interested in maybe taking a boat out into the harbor and visiting a couple of the local islands. We had been advised that the $40 excursion could be had for $10, and they were right, and we soon found ourselves sharing a small ship with another family, and we were heading out to the islands. We had a small little ship just bouncing in the waves, and it was getting exciting. There were a couple of jokes about Gilligan's Island, laughing about where we might be going and we might have to swim back. Instead of heading out to sea, our ship took a quick left and started heading for the beach area off to the side. We were wondering what was going on and soon discovered that these little boats run around the harbor all day long, not only taking people out on tours, but they also act like a taxi. And we were just dropping somebody off and picking somebody else up. The more expensive cruise for $100 gets you in a glass-bottom boat. I guess it's exciting to look at your feet dangling down in the water, but we had passed on that one. Most of the ships were just carrying tourists and stopping at different places along the different beaches so people could get out and walk around. And there were also some fishing boats. If you wanted to take a fishing excursion, there were quite a few of those were available also. The guys running our little ship slowed down. They threw a little food in the water so we could watch the birds descend quickly and eat it up. We were causing quite a commotion in the water and getting lots of attention.
Birds are getting a lot of it.
There was no shortage of pelicans and other birds following us. We even spotted a few seals taking the day off and sleeping in the sunshine. We had a ways to go to get to the little island we were going to stop at, so along the way our tour guide was trying to keep us amused and interested by pointing out interesting structures in the rock that look like a face or look like a bird or something else. We were even told that pirates once roamed in this area and hid out here in the harbor, and occasionally when somebody would attack them or they would try to be apprehended, they could sneak out of here by virtue of this big hole in this rock. Yeah, and evade capture. Because once you go through this rock, it came out on the other side over the Pacific Ocean, and they could get away. And here is the famous hole in a rock you see on all the brochures advertising Cabo San Lucas. Finally, we spotted our destination coming up. Several ships in front of us were letting people off at a particular beach area that was pretty popular. The tour guide said this was a very popular location and we were welcome to get off and play in the sand, swim and hang out and take photos and so forth, and that he would be back in about an hour to pick us up. The family that we were traveling along with in the ship, they were going to stay too, so all of us hopped off and there we were on a sandy beach. The area was really beautiful. It was easy to see why people enjoyed hanging out here for a little while. Sam immediately headed for the water. It was a little cooler than he expected, but he was enjoying it. It was also a great place to get some video of the ocean crashing against the rocks. When you live in the Los Angeles area, and I lived in Santa Monica for 30 years, you'd think you would get tired of the ocean, but you never do. There's just some great attachment that humans have for the natural qualities of nature. And and the ocean is one of the best. It's one of those places you don't need to talk much. You basically just kind of tune into the world around you and enjoy yourself. Sam found a good place on a rock to set. We even got a couple of pictures made of it. Then, to his surprise, a big wave came in and caught him off guard and just about washed him away. But we didn't lose him. Our tour ship was right on schedule and picked us all up, and we slowly found our way back out of the harbor with all the other ships that were leaving. Seems like we had to get a move on because it was a quick afternoon. We had to get back to our cruise ship by 4:30, so we didn't have a lot of playtime. Before heading back, there was one more little area they wanted to show us, and we followed several other small tour ships and went out around the end of the peninsula and got to see some unusual rock formations in a very beautiful part of Cabo San Lucas. Wow, what a great time we had. That whole excursion only cost us like $10 or $15, lasted 2 hours, and we had a great time. Unfortunately, we didn't have much time to explore the boardwalk and the rest of the shopping area. We have to leave and get back on our cruise ship by 4:30 because it's leaving. They have to leave early so they can get to Mazatlan tomorrow. So, off we go. So back on the ship, we got there just in time to go to dinner, so it was off to the dining room for another great meal. We caught a little show that night, and then it was off to bed because the next day we were going to wake up in Mazatlan.